Let's say you can get a bunch of impressionable kids to buy a couple shares at a high valuation, and you sell 49 million shares. That company just raised $490 million in capital while still holding a controlling stake. So now you have $490 million. You can do a lot with $490 million. As far as what's happening, so when a company, all right, let's call it, in this case, we'll call it FaZe, right? It's a private company, right? It's owned by a certain amount of people, right? The founder, co-founders. Sometimes when you bring on new employees, you give shares to them when you raise money via capital, right? So let's say I want to raise money for my company to expand to hire new talent, right? Let's say I'm FaZe and I want to bring on some big time streamer, right? Let's say I want to bring on let's say TheStockGuy. Let's not go too big. Let's go something affordable, right? Let's say FaZe wants to bring on TheStockGuy, right? And they go to me and they say, "Hey, Stocky, we want to sign you," and they'll be like, "We're going to offer you $300 a year," right? And I'm like, "Fuck you! I'm not doing that. I want $1 million." And they're like, "Nah, we'll sell at $500,000. Okay, so let's say they want to sign Stocky at $500,000. Where are they going to get the money from, right? Because they're going to need to sign me. They want to sign me and like 3 others. They want to expand their operations. They need money, right? So what does a company do when they're starting up or when they're expanding? They go reach out for investors. So they go to the investor guy and they say, "Hey, buddy, we need money. We need $500,000. And he'd be like, yeah, so $500,000. I'll give you $500,000, but in return, I want 2% equity in your company." And so they're like, "All right, fine, here. You get 2%, all right? And we get $500,000. So now he's taking all the risk. They take the $500,000 and they hire TheStockGuy. Well, TheStockGuy ends up going on, getting a show on some big thing, and all of a sudden now there's sponsors, and everybody wants to get their product with TheStockGuy, and and FaZe takes a percentage of that, so now they're making more money, and all their people are making more money. They bring in new clients, they bring in new stuff, and the business is growing, right? Well, they want to expand even more. So what does they do? What does that company do? They say, "We want to raise money. But we don't want to do private equity anymore because we don't want to give up the equity in the company, right? We want to expand." So what we're going to do is we're going to take, we have, this guy is 2%. So we're going to say that our company, the FaZe company, has 1 million shares, right? We're going to split up into 1 million shares. And you're going to go to a bank and say, "We want to go public." And the bank's going to be like, "Okay, how many shares?" 1 million. Okay, let's look at your business. Let's look at how much you've made, how much you're potentially going to make, how much your expenses are. And we're going to say what that valuation is. And we're going to divide it up between 1 million shares. So if we say that you are worth, let's say 1 billion, that means every share is going to be worth 1,000. Now that would be crazy. And you would never only give 1 million shares, right? Because that wouldn't work out. So let's say you're going to give out 100 million shares, right? 100 million shares at $1 billion. That's $10 a share. So now you have to get somebody to underwrite that, take the money, get the word out there, find investors, find buyers. And so what they're going to do is they're going to go out and say, "Okay, we're going to guarantee these shares are all sold. Either we buy them or we get a large, we get a clearinghouse, we get investors, we get everybody to buy up." Because they're not going to, why would you as a bank bring a company public you can't get rid of all the shares? You're not making your money on the underwriting. So in this case, what's happening is you have 3 ways of going public. You can IPO, which is very stringent, right? And there's a lot of underwriting, there's a lot of costs, there's a lot of stuff that goes there, but you get a more stable offering to the public. Because now you're basically giving up 100 million little pieces of your company, but you're not going to give them all up, right? You're going to keep 51% because you want to have controlling stakes. So you're going to give up 49%, so 49 million shares, right? And so what you're going to do is if they're valued at $10, you now have $490 million in stock options. Well, this guy, the 2% guy, right, of 100 million shares, he gets 200,000 shares at $10. He made $2 million. That's not a bad return on his investment. And that's if he doesn't cash out. Now, back to what I was saying about the going public. In IPO, the bank has to, or the large firm has to do the underwriting. They have to take on the risk. They have to sell the shares. They have to get that guarantee. And the company obviously didn't go IPO because there was nobody that was gonna guarantee that. So now that that's said, you can do a direct offering. A direct offering is cool because you can use the underwriting to go public, but you don't have a lot of the things like with an IPO where the bank or the large firm who's guaranteeing this, they're going to tell everybody, hey, if you buy these shares, you can't sell them for 90 days because we don't want the volatility. We want this to be stable. We want to have that confidence for other investors to come in and buy. So they have lockout periods and they take a portion of the money, right? Because that's their fee for bringing it public. A direct listing, so that's an IPO. A direct listing is where you get the underwriter and you just direct list it. You just list it directly. There's no underwriting of a percentage. There's no lockout period. There's none of that, right? Little bit more riskier, but cheaper for the company to do it that way because they don't have to spend all that money to get the guarantee of the shares being sold, right? There's no guarantee, but they save a lot of money. But then you have SPAC. Now, special acquisition company. These are companies that are blank check companies. They're just companies that have money and they say, hey, invest in us and we're going to spend our money somewhere. And okay, we invest in you. So now you're a board, you're shareholders, you vote, and they say, okay, we think we're going to bring company whatever public. So this company, this special acquisition company brought to its shareholders and said, hey, we want to bring this company public. And so now instead of a bank or institution, it's just a bunch of people. Obviously dangerous. So they go and they present a whole bunch of stuff to the shareholders and say, hey, this is what we think we want to bring public. And they vote yes or no. So in this case, they voted yes.
Welcome,
now,
John JVI
that's how they're going public. Why would they go public? Because they raise a shitload of money. If you can get enough fucking Twitch fans that watch FaZe or enough name recognition and you can convince a bunch of dumb kids, and I'm not saying investing is dumb. I don't know what the company's valuation is, but let's say you can get a bunch of impressionable kids to buy a couple shares at a high valuation and you sell 49 million shares and you get 4 million kids to buy 10 shares at $10 a piece, that company just raised $490 million in capital while still holding a controlling stake. So now you have $490 million. You can do a lot with $490 million. The problem is a lot of people don't know how to manage it, don't know how to handle it, or don't improve the company. And the company doesn't take that $490 million and do good stuff with it. And therefore, the valuation of the company or future valuation starts to go down. The share prices go down and all those people start selling because they're losing money, which drives the price further down, 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 down. Not only is the share price there going down, but now your value is gone down as well. Right? Your personal wealth and net worth. So if you need to do another round of funding, it's going to be a lot cheaper. Or the opposite happens. The stock goes up significantly high. You're holding on to 59% or 51%. And you're like, you know what? Let's create some more fucking shares. And let's sell them and raise more money. And so that's how those things happen, okay? All right. I'm sorry. That went a lot longer than I thought. So basically, that's what I was getting at.